Hey there, in today's video, I am using an unusual color palette for me, which a red, an orange, a brighter blue, and a yellow. I do use some raw umber, but I'm trying to use up some of these paints that I have and thought that I would do a portrait and just see kind of what the outcome would be. And I feel like I went into it trying to be really loose, and then I kind of tighten up as it goes along because I want it to have a certain look. But it was still fun to do, and I hope that you'll join me in this process. Part of it, I'm talking, and then I'm concentrating, and I am going to fast forward through those parts. So if you've ever thought, wow, I have these colors that I don't really like, typically you can change those colors by adding, if you want to lighten them, you could add a white, you could add even a yellow sometimes, a pale yellow, to make a different color. And if you want to dull down those colors, you can add the opposite color, the complementary color, and that will change it. But you can also add, in my opinion, what I found is raw umber, which is my favorite, or you can add gray or a dab of black. So there are ways to accommodate or change the colors. If you already have the paint, don't throw it out. Just go ahead and change it and convert it into a color that you actually like. So in that case, that's kind of what I did today. I started with red, but then, you hardly see any red at the end, but it's okay because it was just kind of a place to start. And again, I feel like I'm trying to embrace some of those colors that I'm not normally into. Now, I did have a request to do a portrait doing a live, and if that is something you'd like to see, let me know, because I have a post out there about whether or not I want to do another live or not, if that is something people are wanting. And the feedback has been really good so far. It seems like most people are watching lives in replay, and I totally get that because that is what I do when I watch lives. And so if you have any opinion about that, you can post it here, or you can go to you can make a comment below this video, or you can go to the post and write something there as well. So again, if you'd like to see something in live format, that is something I'm considering, but I just depending on the interest in that. So anyway, enough of the, jibber jabber that normally happens. Let's get on with the actual video. So without further ado, let's get started. I don't think I've ever started, I always chuckle. It's funny, I always start these and then I start laughing. I guess it's because of my nerves, but I don't think I've ever started with a white page like this. Have I ever? If I have, you guys tell me which video that is, because I think it's so rare that I'm going to start with this blank page. So what I was planning to do was start with this color, with the color red, which I'm going to use today, which I know is so out of character for me. But I thought, wow, if I have this blank page, I have to mess it up first. And so I'm going to grab a few tools, and that'll just add to the interest. And it also will loosen me up because I feel like I'm a little tight right now. And typically when we start anything, we tend to be tight. We're like, oh, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to do this little drawing, of whatever it happens to be. So if you're feeling that way, grab the end of your pencil and do something like this to kind of get yourself, and you can't really see that. But let's say I grab one of these the Lyra graphite pencils, then you can see what I'm doing, and that can kind of gets me moving. I can grab one of these woody Stabilos so that everything has some color or some movement on it. Let's see, what else do I got? I have a box of pastels over here. I'm going to grab a pastel, and it can be as simple as little blocks. It can be, whatever, complicated, uncomplicated. This is chipping, and so what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my hand in there, and I'm going to move that around so nothing is wasted. Okay, I guess I could do that to all of them, couldn't I? So all of the goodness, the color, the pigment is used, and it will be underneath the paint when I get started. I feel like now that I'm going, what else can I grab? I'm going to grab a charcoal block over here, which, well, I've already used that color, so I'm going to grab a different color. This one it's kind of I'll just show you. It's that color. What would you call that? Kind of not red, but I don't know, purpley, kind of brownie red maybe. Okay, this is good. I'm feeling it. And then I'm not going to use charcoal because I'm going to use that to kind of sketch out my drawing. I'm looking around. I should have been a little bit more prepared here. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do, as I'm just keep talking, I'm gonna grab, okay, sorry, I'm not prepared here. I'm going to grab a, sorry, here we go, a oil pastel. And I should grab a different color. Today it looks like I'm drawn to this kind of yellow ochre and this reddish color, which of course I'm going to be using today. And then this color I want to grab, but that's similar. What can I do? A green maybe. Here, no, that's the same. How about a brown? We'll just go brown. That seems kind of boring, but that's okay. What color could I use? I was looking for a green. Okay, let's just add greens. That way there's something of everything. This is bluish green though, this teal. But let's see if I can find a green. Here's kind of a greeny green. Okay, now is this crazy or what? So what can I do? I could do numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can count too. I know you guys are impressed by that. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I think I've covered it good enough. So you would not have to do this, but I think sometimes messing up a page before you get started helps loosen you up, helps using different materials. Wouldn't have to be all of those materials. It could just be one of them. And you just kind of get your hands, your fingers messy and get in there and get started. And then when you get to the art making part of it where you really want to fine tune. Now, okay, and as I say that, I'm looking at this thinking I could take some white paint and some black paint and kind of, or even brown, and kind of move this around, I could make something from this. But today, which I don't always have, but I have a specific idea in mind that I want to show you, but I wanted to show you sometimes when it's hard to start on a blank page, mess it up, and then there you go. Then once it's messed up, you can just paint right over it, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna grab the paint and we're gonna get started. Okay, so this was unexpected. I wasn't actually planning to do this, but I'm glad we did this crazy making. And now I'm gonna tell you about these colors, which you're probably going like, really? I have never seen you use these colors. And you would be right. I have a cadmium red medium hue. I have a P-roll orange raw umber, which I use all the time. I actually use Naples yellow hue as well. And this is cerulean blue hue. They are all different. Golden, Liquitex, Blick. Oh, and I also have a tub now. Oh, I hesitate to show you. Yikes, yeah, my white. I think I've told you that before. I like it when it's tinted. I am not a purist in any way, shape, or form. And so if my white has a little bit of tint of other colors, I actually like that better. I know, weird, but that is me. So these are all, except for the raw umber, these are all tubes that either they have cracked or their bottle is, I don't know, gunked up, and I'm trying to use them up. And so I was trying to think of something that I could do, and by mixing and making different colors. And anyway, we're just gonna go into it. This portrait that I'm gonna do today, is going to be on a reddish background like I talked about. I'm gonna I actually have some paintbrushes that are sitting in the water, and I'm just gonna use those. So they're already wet and a little bit grungy. But I'm gonna start with this red because the background's gonna be red, but I'm not gonna have a pure red. It's going to be mixed with the raw umber, and I probably didn't put enough raw umber down. Well, we'll see. Probably didn't. Okay, I might grab just a tad little bit of each of these colors just because I like a little bit more complex color, and that will do it, won't it? It'll kind of crazy making almost. But let's get that raw umber in there. I want it to be I guess, you could have used a red oxide, but this is going to be more interesting than red oxide because it has a variety of colors in it. And like I think I've mentioned in other videos, I personally, and I can put that down, it's a little bit dark. Well, is that okay? I want it maybe a little redder. Let's put more of that red in there. Like I've mentioned before, I prefer to mix colors than have them right out of the tube. Not that I don't use them out of the tube occasionally, but I just find that they're more interesting. I guess that's fine. It's a very rich red. So we're just gonna go over the top of all of that. Some of which, might pop through. You can kind of see the oil pastel probably will, because when you put acrylic over that, a lot of times you can't really fully cover it. But again, I like to break the rules. I like to do things, and it doesn't really matter because I'm just working in my art journal. So to me, it's like, oh, let's try anything. It's just paint, just an art oil pastel. It's just, you know, whatever it happens to be. It's just paper. And I get that art supplies can be expensive. I'm not trying to minimize that. I'm not trying to say that it isn't. But at the same time, I think if you don't, and I'm someone who has a hard time with this, so I'm going to lift this page up. In terms of, oh, should I use that? Or is it worth using that color, that paint that's so expensive? Because I always think, oh, there's something better. I'll wait till I'm really good at making art, and then I'll use that. And that day never comes, because you never think you're good at art, and you never think that it's your skills are valuable enough. So if you're like me and you have that, you sometimes have to force yourself to just use the things that you have, use the supplies that you have, and try not to have a reason to use your paint. But I get it, and I'm sympathetic because I am the same way. Okay, so now I've got this covered in red. I'm going to use up all my red. I'll probably put a little bit more back out. So I'm going to go over some of these lighter spots, and the glare is really bad here. I can see that. I'm going to turn my lights down when I let this dry. Sorry about that. I think I got rid of some of the sheen. I know it's still shiny up here, but this color or the lighting, I don't know. I have lighting coming from all different directions, and so sorry about that. If you can't see, I've dimmed it as much as I could, so hopefully you can see. What I'm gonna do now is sketch. Now, honestly, this is a fairly dark background, the red, and I'm gonna be using this charcoal pencil, and so you may not be able to see so much of it, so I probably am gonna concentrate and then just put this into fast forward. I'm using a reference photo, and I'll grab it real quick. I'm going to use this reference photo, but I'm going to exaggerate some of the things. I want her hair to spill out across the page. I'm going to kind of off-center her body here. Her face will not probably go over the crack, but her hair will. So, and that's kind of my idea, to exaggerate. But it is, as I'm sketching this out, it'll be probably too hard to talk, and you may not be able to see some of it. So I'm just going to go for it, and then hopefully you can see kind of a little bit of the process. And if not, then I will probably just delete this section and tell you I sketched it in. So let's get started. All right, I've got the basics sketched out, and as you can see from my color palette, I'm really not going for realistic colors. I mean, obviously I want it to look like a face and a body and a hair and all that, but I'm not going to create a skin tone that is, perfectly skin tone. It's just, it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a rougher and looser painting is my goal, my hope. So what I noticed is the paint wasn't completely wet and the charcoal was a little scratchy, but I actually liked the effect I got. I got some scratch marks in here. So I probably could have used a Stabilo All, which would have shown up more, but it gave me the gist of what I was going for. I just kind of needed a basic outline. So I'm going to start with this grungy paintbrush here, and I'm just going to take maybe a little bit of white. I'm going to try to get some of the lightish tones in first. And we'll just kind of mix a variety of colors in here to see what comes up. I mean, obviously it could be a skin tone, but I'm not trying to be exact in what I'm doing. And I'm using a bigger paintbrush because I think a bigger paintbrush keeps you loose. And honestly, when I was first starting out, I was like, oh my gosh, how can you use a paintbrush that big? And you're messing it up. But again, I think just kind of getting some shapes in and the idea of where the lights go and all of that, you can go back over it. And honestly, to me, now that I've been doing it a while, I see that it adds some interest in that the colors come through. So, you know, it might be a blue. A lot of times I should probably do that. I'm going to grab another brush. I'm going to have a bunch of brushes going on here. I actually like having a blue undertone. So that just reminded me, I'm going to grab a little brown. Let's do a little blue undertone, shall we? I'll make that a little bit of the dark and just kind of see what happens. But again, it's not going to be an exact replica, but it is going to be fun and interesting. It's kind of my way of making art. Okay, I can see that light coming over there is still pretty, causing some glare over here. I guess I could take some paint and paint over that and see if that helped. But okay, let's just keep going where we're at for a few minutes. Actually, I'm going to grab, while I have that on my brush, a little bit of brown, a little bit of yellow. Just maybe make her little top here this color, or at least to start. And I'm going to kind of rough it in. So I like kind of having some of that red show through, may or may not at the end of the day, but let's see. Okay, I kind of like, she had this collary thing, so I'm gonna try to replicate that. And maybe I'll do that in a whitish color. Let's grab some of this weird white paint that is mixed with other colors and see what we can do. Just to kind of get us started in the right direction. And usually, now that I think about it, I would have gone a darker color first, but that's okay. Let's just keep going. And part of this, if I end up not talking a whole lot, I may fast forward a little bit of it because it can get a little tedious. Okay, let's give some highlights up here. As you can see, my plan was for her to have crazy hair that covered both pages, and so sometimes you just gotta make it happen. Okay, so that's some craziness going on. I'm gonna pause for a second and then grab a smaller paintbrush and then kind of do a little bit more with her face. Before this gets too dry, I want to show you one of my favorite things to do to really stay loose is to take, and it might be too late already, is to take the Catalyst wedge and just make a mess. It just, to me, helps things stay a little bit looser. And sometimes you get these really cool effects. And so anyway, you tend to have to do it when it's not quite as dry as it was there, but it just, I don't know, it always helps me to kind of, what do I really want to work on here? How do I want it to look? And if I want to stay loose, then I have to kind of sometimes mess it up. Okay, I'm going to go back with some darker color. I'm going to get to her, a little bit to her eye here, and maybe some eyebrow, just to bring that back in. I had that with the blue. And that would be a good addition to do blue and brown together. That would make a nice dark color. Okay, and this is a little bit darker down here. And I'm just trying to kind of look at my reference photo for parts that are a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. And rather than specifically going in with the exact color that I want, I want everything to have color, and then I can go back over to it. It's like it kind of over it. I mean, it kind of gives you something to respond. Now it looks like, oh my gosh, like crazy, but I think it will all come together. It just, you have to be willing to go crazy in order to make it look different or to look better. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit more of this. I'm gonna grab some of that blue. I think that's a good combination. And some of that red. That might make a really great dark. So I'm seeing that her face, I'm out of sorts here. So I'm gonna kind of do dark. The face should come kind of down right here and over. And I kind of got her hair over here. So that helps give me the line of where her hair is and where her face is. But it doesn't have to be too perfect. Okay, so what do we want to do next? Let's do some light colors now. And maybe I'll grab a slightly smaller brush for that. Let me see what I have over here. I don't know if I want a slightly smaller. That's not too, no, a little bit smaller than that. Maybe, okay, let's try that one. I have all these brushes. Let's grab some white, maybe a dab of orange. Grab some yellow. Let's see what we got. It's a little too peachy, a little brown. A little bit more white. Yeah, you can get some skin tones here. I wasn't hoping to get realistic skin tones, but just kind of goes to show you, even crazy colors I have right here, you can still get fairly close to skin. Okay, that's white, or kind of lightest here, and then there was some lightest here. Kind of lost her lip. Okay. All right. I think what I'm going to do, because I can tell I'm concentrating, and I honestly, my goal isn't to make this, I want to stay as loose as I can. So I kind of am going, in my mind, I'm going back and forth. Do I just fast forward this and you guys kind of watch me, or can I try to stay loose and talk while I'm doing it? I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to do. But I do like kind of explaining. I think I'm going to go with the background now. This is not going to stay red. I'm going to go orange. I know, crazy, but I'm going to mix a little bit of brown in, and I'm going to grab a little bit of blue, a little bit of yellow, so it'll be kind of a dirty orange, and I already have red on my paintbrush. But just kind of shows you, you can make colors, even colors that you think you wouldn't use or like. You can just about use any color. And I always say I don't like red, and I don't use red, and I don't use it that often. But in a case like this, you can see, my paint is not mixed real well on my brush, which is okay, because then I'm getting variations, and I like that. But yeah, even red, it looks cool on here. And obviously it's not, Christmas tree red or whatever you want to, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's it's a darker red. It's got brown in it. And yeah, it just can make things a little interesting to try colors, a color palette that you wouldn't normally use. So that's what I'm doing today. And part of it stemmed from someone I watched online, and some of it stemmed from having the colors and wanting to try something. So, okay, I think I will let's let that go for now. Okay, that seems good. I don't know if I'm losing her shoulder there, but that's okay. And I know a lot of people like mix a color and they're kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't mix that same color. To me, I prefer not mixing that same color, because I think the interest comes when the color has subtlety and differences, like the streak of yellow over here. Because there's not a lot over here, I think that's going to add some interest in terms of drawing the eye over here with some contrast versus everything is on this 3/4. So I'm glad that happened because otherwise we'd have this blank spot. So in some ways, I mean, honestly, I could leave it right here. I'm not going to, but there is a looseness. You can tell it's a figure. You can see what's going on. I'm obviously gonna continue. I don't know if it's obvious or not, but I am not done. But I am trying to really work a little bit looser. Try to be less detail oriented. You know, it's a person. You don't necessarily have to see every part of the person in order for it to be a portrait or to be interesting. Okay, I think I'm gonna go on beyond that. Make this, like, this is not what the photo has, but it's, or the reference photo, but I do kind of like going off on my own and making it slightly different. Okay, now her neck looks a little odd there. I'm gonna try to, I think that's fine. If her neck looks a little narrow, we can add more to that in a minute. Okay, so now what? Let's go back into her face, which I'm ignoring out of sheer desire or not lack of desire or not knowing where to go next. So I'm going to work quietly and maybe put this in fast forward for a few minutes.
Just accept that I got a better place to be, where the only focus is
Okay, I tweaked a little bit, well, off camera, and I think I'm just about finished because this is not about rendering a perfect image. It was more about using some red and orange and seeing what happened. I do think I'm gonna put a little bit of highlights in her hair and maybe a little bit more kind of a lighter color around here. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of white first and just add some highlights here, kind of in this top that ended up being kind of different than I imagined, but I think it's kind of fun. Maybe some feathery kind of things to it. And this brush kind of lends it, a scratchy older brush. So anyway, okay, so the other thing I think in her hair, let's grab, actually I have this fan brush if I can find it. Okay, this is what it looks like. I think you can, it fans out and it makes, it's really fun to use in hair. So I'm gonna add a dab of white and then mix it into this red, brown, orange mix. Maybe I need a little bit more brown. Maybe there's some under there. I'm gonna use what I have here. Maybe a dab of yellow, I don't know. Let's make a cool color. And then I'm just going to, so I want it around the face to be a little darker, but as it goes out, maybe creating a little bit of kind of waves over here. Sun dappled, I guess. Let's do some up here. Yeah, this brush is pretty cool for hair, or I'm sure people use it for other things as well, but I've found it to be, trying to stay out of the camera here, kind of fun for hair. Oh, that was thicker than I wanted. Okay, I think that is it. Again, she's not perfect, but it was a fun way to use, kind of starting with the red, then, you know, some of the red does still pop through, just using a very, kind of a very unusual palette for me, and just to see what can happen. She does look a little off center. It's hard working down on the table sometimes versus up on a wall. So I may pop her up and see if I need to, like this shoulder needs to maybe come in a little bit. Not really sure. So I may prop her up and fix her up a little bit. But here's what I would say. If you have some colors that you haven't been using and you aren't sure, I would just mix them with, and you like a darker color, you like a more muted color, I would mix them with brown or gray or a dab of black. Those tend to mute those colors down, and then you can end up with some beautiful colors, despite the fact that maybe, like me, you don't necessarily want to start with red or orange. So, and at one point I did get some purple in there, which probably I like less than red, which is the blue and the red together. So those are some combinations I know I'm not a big fan of, but even purple, if you mix in some brown, it can be a really, all those colors can be pretty in their own way. For me, if you love a vibrant color, then you would just use them as is. So anyway, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I will, after I look at this on a different version, I will make sure I take a picture and add it to the very end in case I tweak with it a little bit. So as I was beginning to say, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.